Hey, what's good, guys? Hopefully, y'all can hear me. Sweet. Welcome to another episode of Sit Down and Shut Up. Happy Friday, everybody. Microphone's all over the place. Hope y'all doing well. So tonight we got on SuperHeavy, and let's take a look at their note here. All right. So SuperHeavy is a 1500 MR Dee Jay working on breaking through into 1600. Switch to Ken to work on fundamentals that they might be relying on DJ specifics, and find that they're 1300 Ken and want to prioritize. I'm assuming fixing weaknesses, right? So yeah, let's bring them on and let's chat. One sec. Hey, SuperHeavy, can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
good. Yeah, I can. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Good.
Hey, I wanted to say thanks for taking the time to do something like this.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a lot of
It's
people want to be good at fighting games, so make
yeah,
yourself available is pretty good.
yeah. I've been doing this for a couple months now, actually, and through Fight Rise, and people seem to really like the show, what I'm doing. So I'm glad you found some interest in it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just one
awesome.
sec though. Looks like I got rated by my pal Wilshire here, and then Sator over here giving gift subs and stuff. So thank you
Oh,
guys for
Wilshire,
everything.
nice. Yeah, I played with him once. He's a funny dude. He's a cool dude.
Oh yeah. Love Wilshire, man. Um, Cool, man. So I was looking at what you put in the note there. So you said you're 1500 MR DJ, trying to get the new 1600. Switch to Ken to kind of change it up a little bit, see if you can play the Shoto game, I suppose. And then finding you're kind of stuck in the 1300s, huh?
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, full disclosure, I've a lot of characters to master, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
once you kind of get a couple, then it's a lot easier, right? The game's like, oh, okay, you know what you're doing, so it's easier to get to kind of Diamond 5.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I've had Ken is my second person I got to master.
Okay.
DJ was the first. And yeah, DJ was great. I mean, he was actually the first charge character I ever played, so
Mm-hmm.
I think Capcom really cooked with that. So um but yeah, I was getting better at DJ, but still not really hitting 1600.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get like 1570, 1580, and then I'll just start like going down. I think if I keep playing, I get better, but I didn't want to like rely on DJ's tools, right? Like, and by that I mean um. He's got a really great standing medium, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's plus off that. I really like to use feints. I like being tricky.
Okay.
Um, and that will win me games, but and not a lot of people know how to deal with it.
Sure.
But when I go to like Shoto, okay, let's go back to the basics. Um, and it's not like I don't know how to play Ken. But I feel like I'm getting caught with like little things, if it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like my toes are getting tapped. Um, I'm not teching enough, like just silly stuff like that. Um, but I don't know, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, do I not work on it? Is of course I do. I practice anti-airs and all that stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's something you just got to do. But I'm losing like close matches. Or I'm getting caught with stuff that I think is like silly. I don't know if it's a knowledge check or what,
Mm-hmm.
but I only know what I know, and of course, it's always good to get feedback from somebody who has that experience and knows what they're doing. So,
Gotcha.
that's really my motivation. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, I can be a 1600 player, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least I'm confident that I am. I'm just the numbers aren't seeing that, so I'm like,
Sure.
okay, what's my problem here?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, and I think that's pretty common actually, especially after the reset that just happened, right? It's the first
Yeah,
reset that they kind of set the which one, the not everyone to 1500, right? So
right.
they
Yeah.
kind of a lot of the folks that are currently in the 15 to 1600 range right now are probably closer to 16 1700, right? Like
Yeah.
anyone that was 1400 and below is still under that rate, right? So like during resets previous seasons, you'd get in at 1500 and you could play anyone from like you'd run into like Noah the Prodigy, right?
Oh
Or
yeah,
like
yeah.
some dude that made Master like at the end of last season, they're down to 1200 MR and then their phase reset, right? So
We're like we're all in the same
yeah,
pool.
we're on the same pool at that point, right? So this is the first time where it's not like that. So the current MR situation, we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, typically what ends up happening, I think, when you switch to someone like Ken, who doesn't have doesn't have plus buttons, right? You kind of
Yeah,
have
like
to
raw plus buttons.
yeah,
Yeah.
you kind of have to use drive, or you have to have setups or whatever to kind of force those plus frame situations, right? Especially coming
Yeah.
from DJ, who has the ability to produce those situations either through drive rush, like the raw drive rush, just is really good for DJ, right? As
Yeah.
well as like sways and stuff, where you can kind of take a minus situation and then when they take their turn back, you beat them, right? Because you sway, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, well,
Like, psych, you
yeah,
don't really have it.
yeah, yeah. So
Anecdotally, that's funny because you said Noah. I actually, as DJ, I did get in a match with nephew
okay.
when he was learning Kimberly, the Kimberly patch, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so, oh yeah, he's like, fresh Kimberly, learning everything. I actually took a match, right?
Hmm.
As DJ, and then of course I got schooled the next two, but
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, they
then
turn
I
it on,
started getting
right?
like, yeah, then I start my MR got all mixed up. I started getting all these like legend matches. I faced some other guys that have like Liquipedia pages. I was like, oh wow,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's
not that good, but that was funny.
yeah. So let me invite you to the custom room. I see two super heavies on here, both on Ken. I'm assuming it's the online one, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. Let me send the
yeah.
invite
Yeah,
there.
because it's all about the have and the have nots.
Yeah, yeah, and I know that PSN's having some issues, so I'm glad you're on PC. I'm on PC myself, so it worked out. But yeah,
Nice.
okay, cool. So I sent you an invite to the room. So basically, what we'll do is we'll run our first to three, and we'll just kind of play through it. I'm gonna and then kind of go and then see how it goes, right? And then we'll do a little replay review after to kind of see what was happening, if there were certain situations that maybe you got caught or whatever the case may be there. And then maybe do a little lab work depending on if there's certain situations we actually want to lab out and see. And then we'll run our first three after that, just to see if anything helped or not, right? Does that
Okay.
sound reasonable?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
Where do I see the requests? I
Yeah, I
don't
should have
usually
sent
get
you the
those.
invite. Let me just resend it then. Uh, yeah, I sent the invite.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
I see the invite. How do I actually accept it?
so yeah, you go into whatchamacallit? What is it? Training,
CFN.
fighting ground, and then on the very right, it's custom room. You should see the
Oh,
invite there.
okay. I see. Okay. I don't have any friends, so.
It's all good. So yeah, just to let you know, I'm gonna deafen during this. I tend to talk a lot during this. I'm streaming, obviously, so you have the
Okay.
VOD and all that. I tend to talk a lot during this as I articulate like what I'm seeing, what I'm thinking, where the issues
Sure.
might or may not be. So I'm gonna deafen so I don't impact you at all while that's happening. I also may not rematch like right away. So as I'm continuing to talk on stream and articulate what I think is happening and all that. So if it takes like 8 or 9 seconds for me to rematch, don't worry about it, right?
Cool.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
no. The
go ahead and
doctor doing doctor things,
yeah,
no problem.
go ahead and queue up in any slot. I'll join you in a sec here, and good luck.
Good luck. Yep.
Okay, so I actually haven't played Super Heavy before. I think I might have seen them on the Wilshire channel, but we'll see what's going on here. 1500 DJ is no joke though, right? Like anyone 1500 or above is pretty good at the game, so hopefully we'll be able to help them out. Let's see what's going on here. Ooh. A nice parry. Okay. 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 So I think some of it's just unfamiliarity with some of Ken's ranges, and then a couple of mistakes here and there for and most of it's spacing. A little bit of lag, that's okay. Nice. Yeah, so that's fake. Pretty aggressive. Pretty aggressive taking the turn there. Oh. I didn't react. Oh, went for parry. Okay. So some of it is there's a little bit of lag, which is fine, right? A little bit of rollback. But I think what's happening here is that besides that, there's some spacing issues that I'm seeing with Ken specifically, right? I don't know if that's just a Ken familiarity thing, but we'll see how much longer that goes. Otherwise, it's kind of a high risk playstyle, right? They're very active. Very active. Supposed to be a drive reversal, probably. Nice parry. Uh-oh. Oh! Okay, a little bit of lag there. That's unfortunate. I don't know if that's me or not, but we'll just fight through it. It's fine. Oh, nice. Nice reversal. Okay. So yeah, it's again, besides the lag, I think the real issue is that there are some tendencies in neutral after blocking something to kind of either stand still or walk back, like move basically. So where they're getting clipped, I think, is after they block something, they tend to move, and then I just delay lower forward, right? Yeah, and then a little bit of spacing. Like if I play, oh, that was nice. That was nice. Oh, nice parry. Nice super. Okay, let's see the combo. Nice. Backdash. So that run stop is -4 on block. So if you do it at a poor spacing like that, you can get punished by a jab. And with Ken, that's a huge, huge reward, right? Because Ken's punish counter jab leads into like crouching medium kick. So yeah, let's test to see how they do if I play a little more patiently. Oh, okay. That was nice. Oh, no level 1 for me there. Uh-oh. Nice. So, I wasn't timely in some of the pressing on the minus frames there, so... Nice parry. Uh-oh. Okay, so they tend to parry, it looks like. Oh. Super? Okay. Alright, so... again, latency aside, I think the real issue comes down to some spacing and neutral decisions, right? So, let's bring it back on. Hey, man. That was
Hey.
Connection was a little rough there, but I think I got an idea what was happening.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It was like, man, we're getting 4 of the best green bars, but
yeah, and then like
the
the latency was like 40 milliseconds or something. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, I do think though I have an idea of what's kind of happening and why why you're getting hit anyway. So let's take a look at some of the replays here. So let me start sharing in Discord 1 sec here so you can see what I'm talking about. While I bring up some replays here.
Mute Street Fighter here.
I think we want this one. I think this one's the other one. Yeah, this one had a round that you won, I think.
Look at the lag, though. I mean,
all right. Well, I mean, latency aside, and you know, we'll talk about what's happening here. So let me know if you can see my screen, and then we'll get going on this guy.
Yeah, I got you.
Cool. All right. All right. So let's take a look here. All right. So this was game 1. And all right. Okay. So totally fine so far. We're just kind of feeling each other out here. You get kind of hit here because the Jinrai is a little bit poorly spaced, right? The low whiffs. Because I kind of back up a little bit, but it's okay, right? It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here I'm guessing that might have been a bit of a misinput or something. Obviously, raw Jinrai not great in neutral. Sometimes it works out, but yeah.
I don't normally throw that out. It was kind of like I was trying to go forward, and yeah.
I'm gonna try to jump maybe, go for cross up. So no big deal. Something happened, you got hit. It's all good. All right, so we go into this, and then we see how you handle the mix up here. So you block, good, right? And then here it looks like you're trying to parry potentially. Let's see.
Yeah, I think I was trying to parry.
Okay, trying to parry, kind of gets beat by my delay jab here, right? And then good parry here. All right, go for the throw, which is good. So everything's looking pretty solid so far. Okay, jump gets anti-aired. Okay, so I think this is a fine decision to do that. A lot of times people will drive rush into button there. So it kind of just depends on what you're feeling. Now, I think parry is a fine option if you just go going for that through mid-screen. You are going to take a throw, but you're deciding that you're going to try to beat or try to perfect parry normally what Ken would do here with the stand heavy punch drive rush, right? So I think this is fine. You get beat. That's what it is, right? You chose scissors, I threw rock, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here it looked like you were trying to mash potentially. Let's see.
Yeah, and if I was trying to mash with crouching medium, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, that's a little tough, right?
Yeah.
Typically after punish counter throw or throw in the corner there, Ken will be +1 typically on this dash up. I do actually miss it here, so if you look at the frame meter down here, on player 2, right? So you see I miss it by a frame for the forward dash.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But typically this would be +1 situation, right? So it's hard to tell that I missed it by a frame, so you would assume that I'm +1 here. And then if you are going to mash something in this situation, you would typically mash a 4 frame, right? So in this case, it would be crouching light punch or stand light punch, right, for Ken. If you're playing DJ, I think he has like stand light kick or something, or crouching light kick, whatever his 4 frame is.
Yeah, I think it's standing. Yeah, he's crouching.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever the 4 frame is, right? But if you were going to mash something, it's either going to have to be a 4 frame, or it would have to be a reversal, right? So, because otherwise it's going to counter hit you, right? And a lot of times, again, for like these +1 meaty situations, typically it's just better to block or delay tech, right? Given that you don't, we've only seen one Oki scenario so far from me, so it's hard to know exactly what I'm going to do. But again, if you're going to mash the 4 frame, right? So unless it's a specific call, we can look at that later. But in this situation, I think blocking or delay teching probably would have been better there. But not a big deal here. I think I just get a small conversion off this. So, all right. That one is, I think, just unfortunate timing. Maybe a lag spike or something. Kind of caught you parrying and then all that. So, no big deal. And then go for the reversal there, right? So, what I was noticing in neutral for the most part was that, at least it's not really apparent in this game. So, actually, let me get into the next one. But here what I did, just to let you know what was happening here, is that I tend to be a little bit more conservative on offensive Oki when we haven't really played each other before, right? Like, I think this may be one of the first, second times we've ever played, right? So I'm not really sure where that's all at. So I kind of try to be a little bit passive on offense, like very low risk stuff, right? So what was happening here was that I read the meter situation, right? This thing, this
Yeah.
thing, this thing, this is all bad, right? Like, oh crap, okay, they're probably gonna reversal, right? So, again, I don't hate the decision here. Like, clearly you're gonna die if you take a throw here, so going
Yeah.
for that's probably okay as a decision to make. But you know, it is kind of like, you know, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, it's very likely they'll go for something here, right? So no big deal. You know, you went for it. If I went for a throw there, it would have beat me, right? Put me in the corner and go from there. But yeah. So I think in this round, what you're seeing more of is like some of the Oki decision. Oh, I can pause during that. That's dope.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, they keep cooking in there.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The replay review is a little nicer. But yeah, what I think was happening there in some of the Oki situation was you went for kind of an aggressive option, without really. I mean, you went for the aggressive option, right? Like, let's just put it that way. But you weren't really sure, or you know, since we haven't played yet, it's not really clear how I'm running my offense yet, right? So, if I'm doing like these crazy, you know, meaties with big buttons and going for that type of stuff, then you would have beaten me in those situations, right? Like, you know, the mash situation, if I went for like a delay button or something like that, or in that last interaction where if I went for like a throw or some sort of meaty option, you would have beaten me there. But I think that at higher levels, you know, 1500, 1600, offenses tend to be a little bit more conservative at the beginning of sets, right?
Yeah.
I know first to two is very volatile, especially in ranked. So that's why I think a lot of these higher level players will run kind of an offense that is quote unquote boring, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you looked at what I did during that game, there was something fancy, right? Like there was, you know, one hit in neutral that I happened to put you in the corner with. And then if you saw the Oki I went for, it was like a simple delay jab, right? Waited and see if you'd do something. And then you're able to get out of the corner, right? You're able to push me out. And the next neutral interaction, right? You mashed something, and you just happened to get beat by my meaty jab. And then the very last interaction, I didn't do anything, and just kind of waited, and then you supered, right? So, like, all three of those decisions were kind of conservative, and I think that at the beginning of a set, it's very difficult to make that kind of hard read when it's, you know, you may not know how I'm running offense yet, right? So, so yeah. But otherwise, I think, like, most of the stuff is happening there. I'm not too, like, there's nothing, you know, really sticking out just yet, so
Yeah.
we'll keep going. Okay. All right. On his footsies. All right, get through the drive rush. Fortunately, drop.
Now
but...
that was lag.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But...
I remember going, oh. But I think this conversion was fine, right? So if you go through this, right, what's happening here? All right, trade some hits. You get through. I'm not able to check, right? I try to parry here. It doesn't come out. I think I might have gotten a crouch medium kick instead. So I wasn't able to check. No big deal, right? I get hit. And this normally would be a conversion in the corner. It doesn't quite happen. It's okay, right? So this run stop here is typically fake, unless you press. You have to do like the step kick, I think, and it would only work if I hit, right? Yeah. Yeah. So if you look, yeah, pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think not that I think that's like I do think I do run stop in neutral sometimes when I really shouldn't. But I think that was like a little bit of floundering when it was like, oh shoot, like you know, I
dropped
didn't get my thing,
yeah.
and so I started to run or hit run to do a tattoo or I usually do a tattoo from that distance, but yeah, I was like, oh shoot, maybe I could stop and get out of trouble, but I think the step kick would have probably been a better option there.
Yeah, for sure. In this situation, I mean, here, if you go
even
for the,
so, you probably still would have gotten counter hit if you blocked it.
Yeah, so from this distance, the step kick is actually a frame trap if I press, right? So if I press right there, it'll frame trap my my jab. But from here, if I block step kick, you're -4. So then, yeah, I would get you with a punish counter jab, right? So, so yeah, if you're gonna do this, typically you want to go into the step kick, or from this scenario here, right? Instead of doing the just the stand heavy punch, you could just do step kick from that distance.
Oh, okay.
Right? So step kick is a little bit of a risk. You have to be kind of on top of your spacing for the most part to use it effectively like in neutral like this. But it can be pretty effective, right? Because if you space it well, the step kick will push me out of range where I can't really punish you, even though you're -4. Right? So, Something to keep in mind. I know, again, Ken's a secondary and all that, so kind of a specific thing here. But if you're playing Ken and trying to level up, raise your MR with him, get into Master and all, do all that stuff, some of these things will kind of matter a little bit, right? Because good players will mash on you if they see the run stop, right? As soon as they see Ken stop, they'll just smash jab. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay, so I get a small conversion there. Good parry. So, this time it worked, right? Good parry. Didn't quite get perfect parry, but it's okay, right? So, get some meter back. Have to deal with the mix-up here. I like to block. Perfect, right? So, that's good. And then take a turn back aggressively, right? So, this was all very good, right? None of this stuff is like, nothing wrong, right? So far. So, right? And then I kind of do a funny option here. Go for light DP.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, I have never seen that.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it's probably happened before, but I was like, oh, maybe there's something I don't know.
it's actually a hard call out for a throw. Right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's pretty fast, right? 5
yeah,
frame?
it's a 5 frame, I think, and it's throw invulnerable, right? During startup.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, no,
Hey,
sorry.
yeah, I
It may
guess you
not. It may
can't throw
not be,
somebody out
but
of it, can you?
since you're only +1 here, and your throw isn't
Oh,
tight,
it wasn't clean. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah, but it would have beaten it anyway, right? Because strike beats throw. So, anyway, so I do that. It worked out for me. Okay, so tech there, into air. All right, that time it was good, right? I didn't really react in time, so that was good. All right, now you have me in the corner here. So you get jumped on, unfortunately. So with Ken, his fireball game is really not that great, like compared to DJ's fireball game, where you can kind of trap me there.
Yeah.
So from this space right here, it's kind of risky to throw fireballs, right? Because I can jump from here, right? So if you're going to throw a fireball from here, it typically has to be the light, and you should be back about half a character, I think. So a little bit further back. So the reason for that is if you throw the light fireball here, you'd recover in time to be able to jump, or anti-air the jump in.
Yeah, I think that's definitely kind of like a DJ holdover,
Yeah.
right? Because I'll even feint that and then get the jump and just up kick and then
yeah, flash kick.
Start doing the emotional damage.
Yeah. And here, what actually happens is because I perfect parry here, I have a little bit more or a little bit less recovery than I think you were expecting, right? So I didn't option select the jump, right? I just kind of perfect parried here, but the recovery is canceled, right? So I just jump here, right? Normally, if I had just blocked this, I think this fire, I think he'd recover in time. Like I'd still be in recovery when he throws fireball. Because of perfect parry, though, I'm able to jump, right? So you get jumped on here, unfortunately. Right. Then you block the safe jump. Good. And then I think you try to mash here, right?
Yeah, mashing the wrong button there. Yeah.
Yeah, so after the chin buster here, right? Yep, so you get frame trapped here, right? Unfortunately. I think you can reversal here. I think if you mash jab, it'll actually get caught. So at least from right here. So
yeah, I think you're right. It just in my head, just for my process, I'm seeing that I'm reacting with the crouching medium punch when I'm whiffing or when I'm mashing, and sometimes that's fine if somebody's like got backed up a little bit and like if you're in the corner and they want to get right outside of your reversal range, or maybe they want me to whiff my jab, and so I'll hit the medium instinctively. But I know I shouldn't be. I think in this situation, even if I do plan on mashing right, hitting the medium when you're this close to me.
Yeah.
So I would have got caught. But I got caught either way. But yeah, I think I should be if I'm going to mash, try to mash lights.
Yeah, it should be the light here, right? Well, if you were to mash it, right, but it would frame trap, right? But anyway.
Yeah, no, it was a frame trap, by the way. I think reversal is right. I think the reversal would just beat it out.
Reversal would make it there.
Yeah.
You can also try to go for a parry. I think DI won't work though because it's after the target combo, so can recover in time to DI you back, unfortunately. But where I get
medium,
you here,
right?
Yeah, is that I end the combo early and then just grab you, right?
just a genius play, big brain stuff right here. Oh my god.
So that's so that was so for game one, what I'll say is that I think a lot of the where I was beating you here in particular was a couple of the Oki situations, right? So mashing in situations where you probably shouldn't mash, right? Especially, again, in Master, everyone's offense is super, super tight, right? So like trying to mash in in minus situations like that tends to get you hit. People will be running kind of a tighter offense until you can block it successfully, right? So like what I will say is that if you had been successfully blocking all the stuff that I've been doing initially, right? That's when I would likely change my offense to something that could be beat by mash lights or mash mediums, right? So maybe I start shimmying more, maybe I start changing up how I'm trying to open you up, and that's when those things can work. It's just that until you show me that you can beat my kind of layer 1 offense of like tight meaties and meaty throws, I'm not going to change what I'm doing, right? Because it's working.
That's a good way of thinking of that. Yeah. Like why change it if you're doing
Exactly,
yeah.
right? Like, oh, if my initial game plan continues to work, I'm not going to change my game plan until it stops working, right? So
Right, yeah.
So I'll say like game 2. Again, I think for game 1, mostly just Oki decisions, right? Defensive decisions. Trying to maybe block more, delay tech more, use mash and wake up options a little bit less, because that's where I ended up doing a lot of the damage, right? Was that like you would go for some sort of aggressive defensive option, get counter hit, and then I would convert, right? So
Aggressive defense, yeah.
And so this is game 2. I think this is where we started to notice a little bit more of some of the neutral tendencies. So here I kind of changed up what I was doing a little bit just to see what would happen in neutral. So let's take a look. Okay, so you see I'm a little less active, right? Trying to get you to space you out a little bit, try to get you to throw buttons. Right, so get caught. So that was a Jinrai that came out again, so I'm not too worried about that. That's probably just you trying to hit a light kick or something and lag and whatever else kind of beat you there, so not too worried about that. Let's take a look at Oki's situation here. Alright, so I miss it a little bit here. Since I don't dash immediately, right, you can see there's actually a gap here. But again, typically Ken will be +5 here, right? So you kind of have to assume that that's the case if you see that. And then it looks like you get hit because you weren't blocking. Right?
Yeah, what frame was it?
Okay, so
I was like trying to backdash.
Backdash, right?
Like,
so backdashing, right? So I will say that backdashing the corner is a good option, or it can be, as a hard call out to throw, right? So if I threw there, backdash, you get a punish, right? Unfortunately, I went for a jab because, again, I had been going for this kind of meaty jab, light pressure on your wake up. It's kind of lower risk for me, right? So you get caught backdashing, right? And then I just throw you after, right? Because it's like, oh, I just got hit. Like, what do we do?
And I'm like, oh, I'm frazzled.
Yeah. Like, oh no, right? And then you just get thrown.
Good time to throw somebody, yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty normal stuff, right? Get hit by the light, and then you're expecting to continue blocking. Not everyone delay techs after they've been hit, right? So throw can happen there. So no big deal. All right, so I dash up here. Again, it's supposed to be a +1 situation. I miss it a little bit, right? But then I go for a jab here and you block, right? So I think this is good. Right? And then I think you were trying to either mash or parry here. Or maybe a parry just didn't come out. Oh, yeah, you were mashing here. Or you pressed the button.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm blocking, and then I'm like, now I will press a button.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's no way you're throwing 2 jabs. There's just no way.
Yeah, he's been going for 1 jab and a throw. There's no way, right? So there's some defensive options we can talk about here in this scenario. But we'll take a look at the rest of the replay and see if it becomes relevant. But yeah, typically it's very difficult to defend this because Ken has so many options, right? Immediate jab, even though Ken's -1 here, you go for another jab. He can walk up, throw you, right? Shimmy you. Like there's options, right? So we can talk about how to defend that. But yeah, going for a jab here, I don't hate. But what you could be doing, and I guess we'll talk about here, is that you could be going for like a delayed jab in this situation, right? If you're seeing me, your opponent, doing a lot of this like lights pressure, right? So like a lot of the pressure I'm doing here, it's kind of just like I'm pressing lights to kind of see what you're gonna do, right? And then typically what'll happen is like after 2 lights, I could walk up and throw you. I could go for a 3rd light to try to frame trap you, or I could try to shimmy you to bait your delay tech, right? So if you delay tech the 3rd strike, or the 3rd part of that, you'll beat 2 of those 3 options, right? So if I try to throw, you'll break the throw with the throw tech, and if I go for another light, you'll block it, right? Because you're delay teching. But if I go for shimmy, you're gonna eat a combo, right? Because you'll get shimmied, and that's it, right? So the alternative option here, again, this is a defensive option. If you're seeing me do this, is you go for like a delay jab, right? And I talk about this all the time, and everyone probably watching is always like, "Oh, this guy talks about." But the thing is, the reason why though is because this is really powerful at like the 1500 level, right? Like if you don't know about this delay jab option, you're gonna lose to a lot of these sort of frame trap shimmies because you have to guess, right? But if you're able to beat all the options with one option select, then you're not guessing anymore, right? You're able to defend what's happening. So
yeah.
so what you do
I do.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
No,
go
I was
ahead.
gonna just comment. I think I do find myself guessing. Like, oh god, I'm in the corner, so
Mm-hmm.
here comes the casino,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's not like I don't like. It's not like I freak out. I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I think this situation is a little different when you're on the stage, as it were.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's definitely like not using option selects. I think is something I probably don't do as much. I guess I rely on a lot of instinct, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
starting to see that as we talk through it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the instinct part is fine, right? I think that's actually a good way to play the game, where you're kind of like, oh, I think they're gonna do X, Y, Z. What option selects allow you to do is now you can think, oh, they're gonna do option X, option Y, and option Z, and I can beat all three of them, right? So, it rewards an instinctive player in that as you play more, you kind of have an idea of what options people can go for, or as you play the person more, you get an idea of what they tend to go for, and then you can pick a defensive option that would beat the majority of things that you think are coming, right? So it's still an instinctive thing. It's just instead of it being, oh, are they going to strike or are they going to throw? Now it's, are they going to do these three options? And I'm going to lose. I'm going to beat these three options, but I may lose to this other thing, right? So it just kind of changes how it is. Like it's not really a true 50-50 anymore, right? There's like certain options and all that. But yeah, that is something that I think as you climb, more and more players will be doing this to you, right? Additionally, they'll do it on defense too, right? So like they're probably, well, you may see it here. I'm not sure. But there may be a situation where it's like you're unable to open me up, and that's what I'm doing, right? Is I'm doing these option selects to defeat multiple options from you, right? So we'll continue on here and take a look. But yeah, just to wrap up the last thing, for a delayed jab, you would just time a jab the same time you would delay tech, right? So a 5-frame delay on a jab. It would work,
Okay.
right? All right, so I think this is... okay, looks like you went for DI here. Might have been D-Rev or something, but this would have been pretty cheeky. I think it would have worked if I went for a different button here. Unfortunately, I drive rush though, so that kind of beats that. So if I went for like a, let's see, stand heavy kick here, right, or something else, right, something non-cancelable maybe. Unfortunately, you run into that, so no big deal. This is what it is.
I'm like, surprise.
Yeah, went for the read.
You were ready.
Yeah, old man reactions here worked out, right? So you take a punish here, right? No big deal, right? Good parry. I did notice you anti-air with parry a lot. And you see me actually take advantage of that in game 3. You'll see it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a holdover from the DJ thing, because I know with DJ especially, if you get jumped on with no charge, right, you kind of have to either parry or go for a button, right? So
Yeah.
just if you're gonna play Ken, you have the instant DP, so just have to be ready. I think no big deal. Right, and then you kind of whiff the overhead here, and I think I dropped this combo. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that was probably the lag, yeah, for sure. Like just the weird, like, oh, that's probably not cheap.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I think it was supposed to be a Jinrai after that crouch medium punch, but it didn't quite come out. It's no big deal, right? So you get a chance here, right? So good stuff.
Oh,
and then get jumped.
Man, I was like in my head, I was like, Shoryuken, what are you doing? Oh, I think I was trying, and then yeah, the Hadouken came.
Yeah, there was since it was a fireball, you're kind of stuck in that, right? So no big deal. All right. Hold on. Let's see here. All right. See, there's the parry again.
Yeah.
All right. So what I noticed in neutral here, for the most part, is that you kind of have this tendency to move after something happens, right? So if you look, right, this block happens, right?
And I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna get out of here. See ya.
Yeah, and then you're holding back immediately, right?
Yeah.
And then all I do is I just immediately press, basically, and tag you, right? So what I think is happening, and again, this is very common, like I see this a lot, is that after an interaction like this, where your move is blocked, You can't be punished because it's -2, right? So it's not punishable in that sense. I mean, it's safe, right? It's not punishable, it's safe. But your turn is over, right?
Mm-hmm.
What people tend to do is they back up, right?
Yeah.
So like they'll just decide that, oh, I'm standing here. Oh, my move was blocked. My light was blocked. I'm just gonna back up now, right? And back up out of pressure. And I think a lot of people, because a lot of people do this, right? They tend to get tagged by me just pressing my crouching medium kick here, right? So again, it's kind of and very common, and it happens on both sides, right? So like your big button may have gotten blocked. Maybe you had plus frames, although Kenny don't have that, but your big button got blocked. Maybe you try to back up, right? And then you get tagged low, right? You had talked about like, oh, my toes keep getting clipped and all that, and this is what's happening, right? Is that by this point, I'd noticed that anytime something happens, block, hit, whatever, you tend to move, right? In this case, it was back, but if you look here, right, you saw that, right?
Yeah, that little.
Yep. And then on hit, right, you press another button. This is fine, right? Counter hit here, right? And then you continue moving forward again, and then you press your button, and then you back up, right? So it's very difficult, I think, to break this habit, because I think that a lot of players at like in the MR that you're talking about, 1300, 1400, they're all kind of obsessed with playing the game quote unquote correctly, right? It's like, oh, my turn is over. Let me block or let me back up out of pressure, right? Or something like that, right? And I think a lot of times what happens is the player that just blocks something respects the other player too much, right? That happens a lot, I think, in 1300, 1400. Like, oh, I blocked something. I'm not sure if I'm plus or minus here. I'm not going to take my turn back because I don't want to get space trapped or whatever, right? So they'll be passive while you're backing up, right? And I think this happens a lot because it's not being punished at those ranges, right? Those MRs. Like, I've talked to other people before and all that. It's like when you talk to them, it's like I'd imagine that 9 times out of 10 in that exact scenario we just looked at, you're able to back up and nothing happens, right? Like you back up, the other guy doesn't press a button for some reason, and then you reset back to neutral, right? But if you're against someone that has noticed that tendency and they're just gonna press their bigger button, because this is a 7-frame button, right?
Yeah, it's light.
Yeah, it's not a light, right? I'm taking my turn back aggressively here, if you will. So, like, you hit me here, it's good, right? Like, here it's neutral already, right? Like, you're not minus anymore because you move. But because I delay by a few frames here, right? It's a pretty big button, right? Like, in this range. Because you can stuff, if you had mashed a second light here, it would have stuffed it, probably, right?
If I just, like, hit the light kick again, yeah.
So this is kind of a read on your neutral tendency, right? Is that, like, walk up, press some buttons, it was blocked, back up out of range, do it again, right? Try again.
Yeah.
So what I recommend people do typically in this situation here is if they walk up and press that button and it's blocked, just block back, right? Just hold down back, plant, right? And wait to see what the opponent does, right? So if they tend to press their button there, right? At the very least, right? If I do a crouch medium kick, drive rush cancel, and you block it, you won't get tagged. You still have to deal with the mix-up, right? You deal with the plus frames or whatever. But that's better than getting hit, right? It's better than just losing the interaction out.
Didn't eating the combo, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I definitely see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think and just for for the folks listening, I want to make sure that I'm explaining myself so people can get value out of, like, well, here's what I was thinking. And yeah, I mean, definitely, because I'm pretty sure there was more than once where I was like, I'm doing the same thing, and this is why my toes are getting tapped. And you can't, like, break a habit overnight. But I think I was trying to move forward, right? Saw that you moved backwards a little bit, because that was working for you when I was trying to, like, I was short on all my Jin rise, right? I was like, let me move forward a little bit, and then I saw you move back, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm not going to be able to, like, I'm going to whiff a jab, or I'm going to whiff a throw attempt, and just instinctively try to get space, or try to get a little more space, and then that's when it was like, oh no, the same kind of the thing. But you're right, like, there's nothing wrong with just, like, sitting there and chilling, right? Like, okay, I'll always sit there and then I can deal with the mix up, but or even however you want to take your turn, maybe I can respond to that. Which is something I probably would do at DJ. I think he has you can stuff the lows a little easier than Well, at least than what I'm used to with Ken. When I think about like stuffing a medium that I know you're gonna do, like
Hmm.
not that I read you like that, but if I feel like it's coming, you have to do like a dragon lash, right? And then you get that's like the hard call
Yeah,
out.
hard call out. Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing when it works. But I was definitely as DJ. I'll just either sway and light
Hmm.
respond because you just get right out of the way,
Hmm.
and then you'll often get a punish counter, or yeah, I'll just sit there and charge. And
Yeah.
maybe that's why I'll get some of the success with charge characters.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because it forces you to not move because you want to have access to the up kick in case a jump happens, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
it helps in that scenario, and you can also do with DJ like a crouching medium punch, right? That one has a pretty good hitbox in that scenario. So,
Yes,
you have
it's jointed. It's
options. Yeah,
very nice.
yeah, yeah. And like certain lows will whiff against it, right? So it's a nice button and it's a good one to use in that scenario. If you're a DJ, obviously with Ken it's a little different, right? You have to
Yeah.
use like a crouching medium punch or even another stand light kick would work there for trying to stuff something.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that's the neutral tendency that I've seen. I think we see this more throughout the set. So let's take a look here. But if you look at this interaction here after the hit, right, I do kind of a weird setup here because I missed. Whatever. But anyway, you elect to do nothing here, which is perfect, right? So you just block it out, see what happens, right? And then I think you're trying to either parry or jump. Not a big deal. You get tagged at the very end. I don't convert, so it's no big deal, right? And then here, I'm just trying to bully you in the corner, right? So let's watch how this plays out, right? If the run stop gets beat,
Yeah, it does. Oh,
right? So here, again, if you look at how I'm doing, I'm just applying light pressure. You're starting to block more, right? So I'm like, okay, now I have to do something else, try to open you up. Looks like you try to press some buttons here, didn't quite come out. Throw a fireball, and then I just kind of back up, right? I give you a ton of space here, right? Right. So I give you way more space, I think, than I probably should have here. But what I'm thinking in my head is I kind of want to back up enough so that you can feel like you're gonna jump, or I could defend a jump in, and I'm
mm,
out of range of your buttons, right? So if you just decide to press here, I could whiff punish it, right?
mm.
I give you a little more space to see how you would react to fight out of the corner because I wasn't able to open you up in that scenario, right? Like you were able to defend it, so
Okay. Oh my
right,
gosh,
good hit,
Mike, show you.
yeah, yeah. So I will say here that in this scenario right here, 9 times out of 10, if I get hit by the Jin right here, and I don't know if this is a thing that people do. At least I do this in Ken mirrors. If I get hit by the medium Jinrai, I'm just gonna hold back, right?
Oh, okay.
Because the low is a combo, right? So
Yeah.
like I'm gonna get hit by that regardless. But if you decide to go for the overhead here to try to mix me up or try to reset me, I'm gonna block, right? Because that's not a true combo, right? There's a gap there,
Yeah.
right? So typically, I think like going for that, most players will probably get hit by that because they're going to be defaulting to block low. But this is like a Ken specific thing, right? So if you see Ken's
Mm.
going for this, is for you guys in chat too. If you guys see Ken's going for this Jinrai stuff, and you get hit by the medium Jinrai, just hold back, right? You're gonna get hit by the low anyway, right? So you might as well try to block the overhead, right? Or you can
That's
mash
good
shield
advice.
reversal, right? So you can do that too,
Um,
right?
It is a trap. I am trying to trick you.
Yeah. But yeah, if you just block high, like I'm trying to walk out. So the other thing too that can happen is if this is spaced out too much. Actually, I don't think that'll happen here. But if it's on block potentially, it could whiff like the overhead if it's far enough. I don't think it's gonna happen here because it hits. But anyway, something to keep in mind. All right, so
No,
here,
yeah.
yeah, so here this is better defended, right? So you did not back up in this case, right? If you look. Right, so I'm fully expecting you to walk back here, which is why I just go for this.
I see you. Yeah, do the
Right?
crouching medium kick.
Like immediately, right? Immediately. So I'm fully expecting you to try to walk back here. You don't, so this is good, right? But you see what happens here, right? Now you have a chance to perfect parry me here, right? If I went for since I went for button, you go for parry here, which is good. Now you just have to deal with the plus frames here, which you block, right? So like, I wasted 3 bars for a little bit of space, right? So that's what I mean when I say if you just plant and let the other player do the driver's cancel and you defend it, then it's like I wasted half my resources for a throw mix up that I was defended, right? Like I
Yeah.
couldn't open you up, you blocked it, and you take your turn back, right? right, aggressively here, which is fine. You had meter to burn, but you're able to kind of put me in a mix-up now, right? So plus situation here, right? I have to do something, right? I think I just delay tech and block, and then my delay tech is off, so I get hit, right? Unfortunately, here I think what happens is there's might have been a little bit of lag spike, but you hit me and then you went for like a heavy.
Well, I think I was trying to heavy Shoryuken, so I like
Okay.
just bop bop, and then it just ate my
ate the inputs and all that. Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, I think on the counter hit there, typically what people will do was this a normal hit? I think it's a counter hit, right?
I think it's counter hit. I'm +6.
Yeah,
I kind of standing. I could have chin busted maybe.
You could have chin busted potentially. It might be a little bit far,
Or just medium or crouch
bit,
medium.
Yeah, it's a little bit stubby. You go for crouch medium punch here. That's a little tough, or it can be tough because you have to be like on top of it. What I think most Kens will do here in a counter hit jab is they'll go for like a stand light kick into DP. Right? So
okay.
That's probably the easiest counter hit confirm. Just see this. If you counter hit from any of your jabs, stand light kick will always link, right? So you can just do
that. And the light kick is longer than the standing jab, right? Okay.
The light kick is longer than both the stand jab and the stand medium punch.
Wow. So, standing medium punch is like you got to get real intimate.
Yeah,
there's no way around it.
It's 100% like
kiss your opponent.
It's 100% like a combo filler, like in between button, right? You don't really press that in neutral, right? Because he like when he does it, like his fist goes to like here, right? You got to be point blank for it to be consistent.
Its hurt box is longer than that too.
Yeah, it can get stuffed, right? So again, it's more about consistency. I think like if you knew the range here, you probably could get a stand medium punch and go to target combo and do all that, or you can just take the one combo that will always work and stand light kick and you can go to DP, right? So
yeah.
But since it doesn't, I just kind of press, right? You get counter hit and then I confirm that into to this, right? So
pretty sick Jin Rai.
Yeah. So this is basically this is basically just a Ken counter hit confirm, right? So counter hit jab links into crouching medium punch and crouching medium kick, right? So I'm +7. And typically I go for crouching medium kick just because it's a little bit more consistent in terms of range, right? So either way, but anyway, all I do is I take the easy damage, right? I don't have enough meter to burn here for conversion, right? I can't extend without burning out, right? So I just take the guaranteed damage, right? Because you're in the corner already anyway, right? So good reversal here, right? I had been going for a lot of this like meaty strike pressure, meaty throw pressure. So this is a guaranteed way to blow through that, right? So it was good timing on the reversal.
Thank you.
All right, back to on his footsies. Right, try to go for that jab, and I just delay tech. No big deal. All right, so you get hit by the infamous fireball drive rush, right?
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like you were trying to parry, didn't come out. Get hit by that, and then I kind of drop the level 3 conversion, right? So normally you would just convert that into drive rush extension to level 3. I drop it, no big deal. Right, so then you have to deal with kind of this relentless me walking forward pressing buttons thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. All right, and then there it is right at the very end.
Yeah. It happened like I mean, it felt like it happened 100 times to me, but yeah, I was like, oh god, I can't believe I get caught by that. Well, I can believe it, just to be honest, between you and me. But yeah, it's the same thing. You say I start walking backwards, like I'm gonna get out of your range or something.
Mm-hmm. You whiff the jab, which I don't punish because a little late on it, right? I'm still in recovery right by the time the jab whiffs, right? So I'm able to act now. I'm reacting to the jab completes, right? Obviously, it's a short recovery, but in my head, I'm like, they're gonna back up here, right? And that's what happens, right? So again, it's the neutral tendency I think is to back up after pressing buttons. Again, very common, right? And I say this all the time, is that the reason why this has been working for so long is because no one punishes it, right? If this hadn't been working for you before, you probably wouldn't do it, right? So
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
But yeah, people tend to not be as aggressive on the button pressing, at least as I am in these situations and scenarios. So that's kind of what's happening here, right? Is that like, you're kind of pressing buttons, you're safe, but typically people don't take their turn back aggressively, and then you're able to back up under pressure, right? So that's kind of the neutral tendency that I was noticing and exploiting, right? So like I would just kind of wait for a scenario where I think you're going to back up, and then I just go for the crush kick, right? Because if you look at this whole neutral interaction here, or from the, this is after the DP, right? So I'm kind of, you know, we're both pressing these bigger buttons, right? And again, right there, if you saw, I was fully expecting you to back up. You jump instead, right?
Yeah.
So you're able to beat that. I'm able to block it, thankfully. Tech happens, right? Right. And if you look here, I'm not really doing anything like super committal here. If you had been backing up, this would have tagged you when you gotten some space back. But then since you're backing up, get tagged anyway as an unblock. But you can see that I'm not really trying to spend drive in that scenario, right? I have drive advantage over you. You only have one bar here, right? We both have CA, or you have CA, both are level 3. But I'm not too worried about getting hit by that, right? Because even if you reversal me at any point, you'll take some bar, you get bar back, but I won't be dead, right? It's one more neutral interaction, so kind of dictates how I'm playing the game. Now I'm just kind of, since I'm already in your face, right? I just kind of walk up through here, right? Because you had been passive in this scenario the last 2 or 3 times, right? So like you got hit,
Okay.
and you don't press, right? Which is fine, honestly, because you're, you know, you're minus here, right? Like you just got hit, right? So you're minus. But what you see people do here is try to either jab me out of this, right, as the walk up, if I'm too far, right? So if you look here, so here's the hit.
Oh yeah, off the
Right.
off the shin
Off the
kick,
low,
and then
right?
you're still too far to just throw me. I think
Yeah.
you are, right?
Yeah, 100%. If I try to throw you from right here, it'll whiff, right? Unless you press a button, right? If you press a button here,
Then I would get thrown.
you might get thrown because of the extended hurt
Because I'll
box, right?
extend. Yeah. Okay.
Or if, you know, if you go for like a tech or something, right, it might throw you, right? But here I'm too far for a throw, right? So like in your head, you got to think, okay, they can't throw me, so what can they do? They would press a button, right? Or they would walk up potentially, right? So both of those options, or I could back up too, right? Like I could just back up out of this situation, right? But I haven't been doing that, so it's hard to like make that decision.
Yeah, no medium kicks for me.
Yeah. But something you could do here is you could just jab, right? So if you delay your jab here, right, in this scenario, and this is just an option to consider, right, in this situation here, because the tech doesn't make sense, right? So going for a delay tech right here would get shimmied, right? Because I won't have to move, the tech will come out, and then that's it, right? But if you jabbed right there, right? So like maybe 4 or 5 frames after the hit recovery, and you see me start walking forward. Not, you know, you can't react to me walking forward like that, but like the spacing would dictate that I could walk forward. If you jabbed right there, it would hit me, right? Because I'm walking. Right? If I go for a throw, you would actually counter hit me out of this, right? So again, this is just a one way to defend this, and I don't want to say this is like the only way to do it, but like if you look at what happens here, right? So we'll go after the hit. Right, so if I take you... Oh, crap.
Oh, yeah, all the way at the beginning.
Oh,
Just
man, what happened?
see who I am.
Why did it do that?
Oh, bummer.
Bummer.
Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. All fantastic chess match here. Oh, that, yes, that'd be right there, yeah.
Yeah, right here. Let's see. Right, so here's where
counter hit
replay
kick.
take over.
Yeah.
So switch play control. One. Right. So if I delay my jab a little bit, right? Right. So if you like got a sense of that neutral timing and went for the jab at that timing, like to delay it to try to beat the walk up, you'll get a counter hit, right? And then you can confirm that from there. So, and that's something I think you can kind of integrate into your game, where if you're in that scenario where it's like kind of ambiguous as to whether I'm going to walk up throw or press a button or something like that, if you delay your jab to where if I were to press a button, you'd block, but if I were to try to walk up throw, you'd counter hit me. That would allow you to defend a lot of those walk up scenarios, right? Then you feel like it's going to feel like you're guessing less, if that makes sense.
Yeah, is that more like a delayed jab, or is that like an immediate jab?
It's a delayed jab. It's a delayed
okay.
jab. The reason you want to delay, like in here, in this case, if I had just done mash, right, it would have worked because I walked up, but you don't know that ahead of time, right? You don't know what I'm going to do. So if you try to mash there and I happen to press like a heavy button or like a medium button, it'll counter hit you, right? Because you're
Yeah.
minus. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to defend both the strike coming in if I happen to press a button and the walk up, right? Because of the distance that's there. Now works a little bit differently for point blank, right? But in this scenario here, to try to defend me walking up throwing you and defend me from pressing the button in your face, you can try to delay your jab to when you would delay tech, right? So like in that scenario, if I go back to this, right, you delay tech here, right? At that timing, right? As soon as I kind of walk up, you would go for a delay tech, right? If you go for it, and obviously that would work, right? Because you can, if I go for a strike, right, in that scenario, it would block, right? Because you delay tech. And then if I go for the throw, obviously you would tech, right? Because it's delay tech, right? But you would lose to a shimmy, right? So if I shimmied you in that scenario, right, you would eat a full punish, right? And it's very difficult to defend and all that because it's like a shimmy will kill you, and so will a throw won't kill you, but a shimmy would kill you, right? So it's kind of like, oh, how do I defend the throw here? Which is why I go for it, right? Because if your only delay option or defensive option in that situation is to delay tech, then I have to get you to think about doing it, right? So in order for me to do that, I just walk up throw, right? Because if you tech in this scenario, like what's lost? Nothing, right? We get space back, but I still have meter advantage, right? I have more meter than you. I have life over you, right? So one interaction will kill you, and like 1.5 interactions will kill me, right? Because you don't have enough drive to get a full like 60% combo here, right? So so yeah, it's something to think about doing. You have to kind of lab out the situations. We can talk about in the lab when it's more useful. But this is a defensive option I think that people probably should be doing a little bit more against the offense that I'm running here, right? Which is basically I'm going to walk up, press a bunch of light buttons, or throw you, right? This is what I'm doing to beat you, right? So.
No, it makes sense.
All right, so we continue on. Get thrown, right? And then again, I don't really force the Oki scenario, right? I don't drive rush or do anything. I just kind of dash up and block, right? Right, and then you get tagged at the very end there, right? So
yeah, I get what I deserve.
Yeah, again, it's a neutral tendency that's very difficult to defend against, right? So to stop doing, right? Because it's like, man, I don't want to be here, right? I don't want to be.
Yeah, this sucks.
Sucks,
You're
right?
all in range.
Yeah,
he's standing there menacingly.
Yeah, I don't want any of that, right? So you back up. So let's watch this last one here. So we kind of talked about the two things that I think I've noticed or I'm exploiting to beat you here is that you were being active on Oki, so I kind of stopped going for those like big home run Oki options, which is kind of beating you. And then the neutral tendencies I was exploiting by just waiting for you to back up, right? So like finding a situation where I think you're going to back up and then just going for it, right? So those are things I think, for the Oki part, you said you're an instinctive player, play by feel. I totally get that. I'm kind of the same way. So it's just if you add more defensive options to your kind of, your list of things to try to do, you can start trying to piece together situations where it's like, oh, I'm going to run this option select because it'll beat these things that they're showing me, right? So
yeah, I'll probably actually develop that feel, and then I won't have to like think about it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Options.
100%. Because it's like, instead of it being an analytical thing, we're like, oh, well, I have to think about option X, option Y, option Z.
Well, look here, I'm about 12 inches away. Yeah, no.
No.
Like, it's like, that's about right.
Yeah, no. At that point, you're just kind of like, you know what? I think this will work, and it just does, right? Because that's how it works, right? So here, I think at this point, I'm kind of just exploiting some of the neutral tendencies here. Like you kind of throw fireballs a little close, and again, you're walking back and forth kind of a lot after those buttons. And some of it, I think, here is actually spacing as well. So might just be unfamiliarity with where Ken needs to be standing, versus someone like DJ who can stand a little bit further away, right? Or a little bit closer even, right? If they wanted to. But typically Ken's kind of good range, if you will, to stand is kind of like if my cursor is the front of where Ken is, if you can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
You want to be standing about here, right? So like crouching medium, just outside crouching medium kick range is kind of like where Ken makes his money. And the reason I say that is because that allows you to kind of walk forward, walk back to put pressure on the opponent. And it still puts you in stand heavy kick range. So if you think they're going to back up from that range, you can still tag them. And like it keeps you out of range of some of the bigger, better plus buttons that a lot of these other characters have, right? Like when you're up close against someone, like a DJ or like an Aki or something like that, where they can just kind of press some of these buttons and you just kind of have
Yeah.
to deal with it, right? You don't
Yeah,
want to be
Jury
there,
too.
right?
A lot of
So
that, like, or even Jamie, I struggle with a
yeah,
lot. Just hitting those buttons, and I'm like, oh man.
yeah, the drive rush heavy punch, right? You have to block all three. They'll go into like the crouching medium punch or whatever that ends up being plus on block, right? So you can't
Yeah.
challenge really. And then you kind of have to like hold the +1 mix up or whatever and try to guess out of that, right? So yeah, you don't want to be in that range unless you're the
Okay.
one aggressive, the aggressive one, right? But you don't want to be standing there. So you want to try to stand at the tip of your effective normal range, right? So here I counter poke you here, right? So I walk up expecting you to press a button here. You happen to throw fireball, so it counter hits, but I was just trying to catch you walking forward, pressing a button here, right? So that's why this is happening now, right? So in my head here, I kind of have a sense of the rhythm you like to play at, right? Walk forward, walk back, walk forward, walk back, walk forward, back, right? I kind of have an idea of where you want to be and what you're trying to do, right? So trying to stay outside the range, trying to get you to walk forward, and then I just tag you with that, right? So again, I wasn't sure if you're gonna throw a fireball or another button here, but I thought you were gonna do something, and it just happens to tag you, right? So,
Okay.
but that's kind of the counter poke that's happening, right? So like we're both trying to poke each other with fireballs and these buttons, right? So what I do instead of throwing a fireball there is I walk up and press a faster button, right? So 8 frames, right, from that range. Obviously, it'll stuff a fireball. It'll stuff a heavy if you try to press a heavy there. It may stuff the crouching medium kick if you are late on it, right? But that's what I was doing, right? Is I'm trying to get a sense of your neutral timing and how you like to press buttons, and then try to disrupt that timing, right? So
Okay.
that's what was happening here. Right. All right. Anti-air. Nice.
No.
That was nice. Should have been Tatsu or a DP or something like that, but it was good. Unfortunately not. So one thing I'll mention here is that counter hit, stand heavy punch, you get crouching medium kick.
Oh, okay. So I can kind of slow down a little bit and be
Yeah,
like, and confirm it. Yeah.
100% confirm this now because there's a lot of hit lag, right? And hit stop, if I guess. And this is very
Yeah.
confirmable, right? So from this punish counter, crouching medium kick, drive rush, right? Or crouching medium kick, run DP or whatever, right? But it's way easier to confirm this with a crouching medium kick versus just raw like this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Right. Just dealing with my stand heavy punches, right? The Ken stand heavy punch special. Nice. And then go for the walk up throw, right? So
Yeah.
again, here in that scenario, I gotten hit, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just holding back now. Right.
Yeah. And
So.
And I think just off the dome, I get away with that a lot at where I'm playing, because people will be like, "Oh crap, I'm hit," and then
They'll
a lot of
continue
the crouch
crouch
blocking,
walking. Yeah.
right, or even mashing something. So I think in that scenario, I'll walk up, and of course, if I get close enough, I'll usually throw, but I've gotten a lot of like reversals out of that too,
Oh yeah. The
or
mileage
reversal bait.
on medium Jinrai on hit is kind of absurd. Like you can
Yeah,
do a lot of things on hit, and like they just have to guess, right? Like,
yeah, yeah. I imagine people are like, "Oh my goodness,
yeah,
oh man," and then they get all ramped
yeah,
up. I try to take advantage of that a little
pretty
bit.
much, right? If you don't have like the specific counters already loaded up, right, you're gonna eat a lot of mixes. Like I did it to you earlier too, right? Where I stopped the combo and just threw you on the parry attempt, right? So
Yeah. But the backup was actually, I was like, I'm surprised
yeah.
that you knew. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, but just it caught me off guard
Oh
that
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
I'm just back up. I'm
It's
like,
a
oh,
yeah. It's definitely like a Ken thing that I've picked up, right? Because and I think probably that was done to me at some point would be my guess as to why I started doing it, right? Because like it makes a lot of sense, right? Like I already gotten hit. The worst thing they can do to me is overhead me, reset me, and throw me. I can't block low anymore, so why would
yeah,
I do anything other than that, right? Other than mash reversal, obviously, but but it's like I can beat. Like I'm already lost to some options. Let me try to defend against other options, right? So anyway, good reversal here. Again, I've been going for a lot of this pressure. Haven't really been respecting this option from you in this game, in the previous game.
yeah,
So
yeah.
this is a good time to do this, right? All right, so there's the parry. Okay. Conversion. All right, so good throw. Right, and then I think here, and I was saying in the stream is that step kick if it's too close is -4, so it's jab punishable by Ken.
Yeah.
I think it's get a combo hit that I could have actually killed you if I converted that correctly, but it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't need to die immediately.
Well, you know how it is, right? Like, oh man,
Yeah,
maybe I
yeah,
don't want to. I should have converted, but didn't. That's how it goes. But yeah, like you just gotta be careful of that step kick, right? That's all. So continue on here. So back to neutral, right? And then again, right? You get tagged because you're minus here, and back up, right? And in this case, now what I've noticed is that I'm not even delaying the crouch medium kick anymore, right? So before, in game 1 and 2, I would have to delay this button by 4 or 5 frames to try to get you to move. But now I'm just pressing it, right? Like right
just
there.
blatant, just like he's not going to do anything about it. You know
it.
what? You're right. You're right.
Back up, and that's it, right? So. So yeah, I mean, again, it's more of the same. I think there's just the neutral tendency that I'm exploiting, right? That in particular is where I'm winning most of the game, right?
It gets you a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and especially with Ken. I mean, most characters are like this anyway, but like Ken especially because he has like a better low forward, and the corner carry is absurd off of it, right?
yeah.
Like you're in the corner from that, right? Like
yeah. I found myself in the corner quite a bit, and that's just like, oh, here, that's the schmicks there.
Yep. So that's unfortunate on my part.
That was the lag probably for both of us there.
Yeah, that was a good conversion though. Step kick, counter hit, confirm, and stand like kick DP. So that's good. Right, that was very good. Right, I tried to reversal. It didn't come out.
Oh yeah.
Is what it is. And he got hit, thrown, and then delay tech. All right, I tried to take my turn back here. Because this is similar to that previous situation, right? Right. I don't press timely enough, I think.
Yeah, because...
Yeah. 2 frames delay. I'm minus here. And because the thing is, when I pressed this, I was fully expecting to hit it, right? So like, I just go into the crouching medium kick and get counter hit by the jab, right? So that's how it goes. And that was good on you to recognize that your counter hit landed, just drive rush after it. So that was good. I failed to defend that properly a couple of spots, and you took advantage, right? So that was perfect run. Again, I did try to guess in those scenarios, and I was able. It would have been maybe correct on that first interaction where the DP didn't come out, but the second one where I delay tacked and got shimmied, basically, that was good. And then the missed counter hit confirm on my part, right? Again, a mistake I made, and you capitalized, right? So that was good, perfect. You're able to beat me in neutral as well if you look at the round. Well, it pauses even. That's dope. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's fancy.
Yeah, because you're already paused. Yeah.
Right. Right. So you're able to take advantage of the mistakes I was making here. Beat me in neutral, and then put me in the corner here, and then this is where I just get mixed up, right? So that was a good round for you, right? You're able to capitalize there, so
yeah, thank you.
A good parry. Right, go for that throw mix up again. Unfortunately,
trying to get you. I was like, I'm gonna trick you. No, no trick you.
But that's what I mean though with like what's happening on defense for a lot of like these high level players is that I don't want to consider myself a high level player, but what they're doing is they're defending against likely options, right? So like they've committed to losing to something, or in this case they've committed to being beat by something, and I'm just defending against you doing something else, right? So if you try to walk up throw, I'll back up out of that. If you try to overhead, I'll block it, right? So like those two options now are defended by just the simple nature of me holding back now, right? Like committing and allowing it to be like, oh, I got hit, I can't do anything about that, right? So that's what makes that particular mix-up tough. Some players on block will go for like a parry or something, and then you see me. I did that to you once, where like it was on block. You try to parry the low, and then you get counter hit thrown, right, or punish counter thrown. So that's the mix up, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the thing when I talk about like reducing your mental stack on defense is that you're beating those options already anyway, right? You've selected an option that's going to beat certain things and conceding that you've lost to something already, right? So, and then here we come. Here comes the empty jump throw.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, show you can please. There it is.
Yep. And then I missed the punish here. No big deal.
I'm just trying to show you that I know how
Yeah.
the input works.
Don't worry, the DP input works, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So that time I didn't do that. I think because it was on block, I was trying to press. It didn't quite work out. All right. No drive rush for me apparently.
Yeah, it looks probably got 8 up.
And then jump and then
Oh my gosh. It's
Really
so
burned out
bad
here.
when you see it again. You're like,
Yeah.
no, perfect.
I know, right?
It's easy when you don't have the control in your hands. Huh?
Exactly right. Hindsight is 2020. And then here it's like, you know, is this going to be reversal? Yes, right. Like you have to, right?
I got it. Come on, I got nothing to
100%
lose.
have to, right? You know,
It's all or nothing.
oh no, they basically right, like 100% you reversal here, right? And totally fine, right? Because you could go like, oh, is he gonna reversal? Is he not gonna reversal? And then I just kind of back up because here,
I mean, I lose the chip too. Is like,
yeah, it's very difficult to win from this scenario here, right? Like your best bet would be for this reversal to hit. You get some of your bar back. You have a situation where I'm burned out now, right? And like you can try to do something, but it's very hard to win from here, right? Like, yeah.
yeah, the I mean, it's just that drive gauge is just so, so valuable. I think for just the people watching, like it's a lot. So a lot of things I think I see in my experience, and maybe you can correlate is like people will burn out to get like a throw like from mid screen, and it's like, okay, well I'm not in the corner, and I ate like 1,000 or 1,200 damage, and you lost half your drive, and then you end up in a situation where you're burnt out in the corner, and then you lose. And you're like, oh, how did this happen? It's like, yeah, just you should think about keeping those sometimes. Keep, it's not worth 1,200 damage all the time.
Yeah. The meter arguably is more important than your health bar in this game, right? You have to make sure that this thing, you're using it effectively. Like spend it, right? Use it to win the game, but don't be reckless with it, right? So I hopped in the lab here.
Everybody's a Noah the Prodigy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're built like him, then do whatever you want, right? Like, I'm not gonna say do nothing or not do anything. I mean, that guy can win. Doesn't need drive, right? But for us mere mortals, right, we kind of need this to stay alive, right? So,
absolutely.
So anyway, I hopped in the lab here. So what I wanted to talk about was the delayed jab scenario, right? So I think this is something that will hopefully help your defense a little bit more. So a very typical scenario here, right? And I'm just gonna use Ryu because it's easiest here. So I'm gonna have him block everything, right? Okay, so like in a wake up scenario, right? So people will do something like this, right? Right, 2 jabs or 1 jab, right? Potentially. But from here, you have a mix up, right? So like if I throw you or knock you down or something like that, and I do a meaty jab here, right? You can't mash against this, so you have to block that first jab. Now what Ken can do here is they can throw you, they can shimmy you, or they can continue pressing buttons, right? So if I press 1 jab here, right, and I go for a throw, it'll reach, right? We go for 2 jabs, throw whiffs now, right? So what some Kens will do, right, is they'll do this into throw, right? But if you look at the frame meter, right, there's a large gap, right, because this button is -1, right? So if I do a jab here and you block it, it's -1, right? So what that means is that there is a 6 frame gap from the time this jab comes out to the time the throw comes out, right? So what you can do here is you can defend this by doing a delay tech or delay jab, right? So let me show you the delay tech first because this is what everyone's familiar with, right? So you block, you delay your throw by about 5 frames, right? Right? This is pretty standard stuff, right? Right. This you see like a million times in a game, right?
Yeah.
Right. All the time. Same thing on 2 jabs, right? Right. If I go for the throw here, Ryu will tech it, right? In this case, I'm actually teching his throw because of the walk up delay. But the same result, right, is that I'm able to delay tech, right? So this will beat mash, right? Because you'll block everything. Obviously, delay tech's at the end because of what the computer does. It'll also beat throw, right? Both scenarios. I mean, if I do this properly, right? Right, beats that. But it does lose a shimmy, right? Right, even on one jab. Right? So that's actually pretty scary, right? Because like a single jab can result in a 3,000 damage combo, right?
Yeah.
You guys wrong there.
Way looking at it, yeah.
Right? So the alternative, an alternative to this, is to do a delay jab, right? It's an additional defensive option, and I tell people to do this all the time because this beats this offense, right? This is an offense that I think a lot of good players use initially, because if you can't defend this properly, you're gonna eat mix-ups all day, right? Like if your only option is to block or delay tech, I'm just gonna do this, right?
Yeah.
Right. The shimmy you until you stop throwing, right? And then since you're not throwing anymore, I would just walk up and throw you now, right? So what you can do here is I'm gonna set Ryu to do a jab after 5 frames, right? So obviously you can't mash, right? So if I mash, right, you get hit by the counter hit,
yeah,
right? It'll beat a throw, right? But if I do 2 jabs, you get space trapped, right? So if you block twice here, right, and I go for a wish punish, right, you'll get hit by that, right? So if I see you mashing, or like if you're blocking and you're gonna mash after the second jab, since Ken is spaced out here, typically I'll just go for a heavy after, right? Something like that, right? Right, that can happen to you. So mashing obviously is not going to work here, but this option here, if you delay your jab, right? So what Ryu's going to jab after like 5 frames, right? So look what happens, right? If I go for two lights here into throw, you'll hit me walking forward, right? Or if I go for throw here, right? And a wake up scenario, right? Right, it'll counter hit me there. If I go for shimmy, right, you'll hit me, right? So if I try to back up here, because of the delay, if I back up, right, after this, you'll basically stop my pressure, right? It's my turn technically, and it's minus or whatever, but the point is that now I can't really just like do anything I want, right?
Yeah.
And it should beat the throw as well. So if I walk up and throw, right, it'll counter hit me, right? Because of the delay that happens during the actual walk up. So like when you go mid screen, for example, right, you see how the counter hit happens there? You see my inputs here. Went for the throw, I got beat, right? So that's an option you can do against players that are doing this type of thing to you, right? Which is what I was doing to you at the beginning of our game, right? I was kind of going for this jab pressure to see what you would do, and then if you weren't delay jabbing or like delay attacking or something like that, I just go for this, right? So I think right, something like that, right? I think you can actually delay this by a little bit less. So I think 5 frames might be too much. Let's see. 4 frames should actually, yeah. Yeah, that should be okay because this should still beat the, yeah. Right, so point blank, I think this still might lose if I do it immediately, like immediate throw after. But if you're spaced out right here, obviously my throw won't reach anymore, right? From here, so I have to walk up. Right, and that would cause the counter hit there. So you can defend against the walk up, basically, right? Because again, here, right, that's what you're really defending against is those two jabs. Right? If I continue my pressure, you'll just continue blocking, right? And if I back up again, right, or if I one here, you'll hit me, right?
That makes sense, yeah.
So with Ryu, I think it might be his jab is a little bit short, and this works really well for like characters with better jabs. But it is a way to defend against the walk up, right? So it's something to try out and see if it's able to stop some of this offensive pressure that's coming, right? Because again, this is what I was doing to you, right? Like a lot of this was happening.
Yeah, just a lot of just walk up. do some
Walk up,
checks.
yeah. Well, little things like this, right? Like little pressure pieces like this, right? And what
Yeah.
happened though is eventually, you'd get stopped by me doing this, right? And I would just shimmy you or do something else, right? Like force you to delay tech or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So this is a way to beat that. Now, a way for me to beat it on offense is I go for a delay, like I leave a gap in the pressure, right? Right. So you see how I did like a
Stagger
medium pressure?
pressure.
Yeah, stagger pressure.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a gap here. It allows you to press your button, and then I counter hit the startup, right? Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's counters to everything, right? And if you start,
Course.
going for the delay jab and you're able to defend my offense there, and I start going for this kind of delay stagger pressure, right? Now you can start mashing against me, right? So if you mash in that scenario, you're going to beat me, right? So if I change this to 0 frame, right? Oh, he's not doing it.
He's just not doing it.
He's like, whoa, what's going on here? Right? So now you can mash against this, right?
Yeah, and if you're gonna like stagger, it's probably okay to like block and then,
Yeah.
like you were saying before, figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Additionally,
what's
yeah,
what's your game plan?
100%, right? If I block here, right, there's space now, right? So you can try to take a turn back here. Again, with Ken, it's a little different because his medium button is actually 0, right? So, he doesn't have any frame advantage here. Some characters do have frame advantage there, so you have to be careful about the what to do after blocking the stagger button. But at least you have a chance now, right? Like, you're no longer in the mix-up. You're back to neutral, even though you're stuck in the corner. But at least you're not defending a mix-up anymore, right? You're able to kind of play disadvantage neutral, which is better than being in a mix-up situation, right?
Yeah.
So at least from here, maybe I make a mistake walking back and you tag me. Maybe instead of walking forward, tag me. You can try to jump, right? Maybe I'm not ready. I don't anti-air you. Or maybe I do anti-air you. I cross-cut DP you and you're out of the corner. Right?
Yeah.
So the point, though, is that defending Oki is less about winning and more about getting back to neutral, right?
I see.
If you're in a mix-up situation and you take minimal damage but you get back to neutral, I think that's a win, right? Like, you're able to get out of the guess situation and get back to neutral, right? Back to both characters standing up, right? So yeah, I think that's really the one thing I wanted to show you from a lab standpoint, mostly because this is what how I was beating you, was that I was kind of forcing these kind of jab scenarios, and you're like, well, what do I do? Do I delay tech or whatever? And then I would just apply some offensive pressure, and then you would either get hit or you'd block it, move back a little bit, I gain some space, and then we go back to neutral again, right? So yeah, I think that's really it. The other thing is that, like, if you do this, right, like any sort of big button, just block, right? -2, okay, block.
What, don't do anything cool? Come on.
Yeah, I had to pay $60 to block, bro. But yeah,
exactly.
but yeah, I mean, that's how it goes, though, right? Like in neutral, like this, you land a button at the tip. That's why I'll bring it up here, is that's a big reason why you want to be spaced out, right? So, like, if I press this button up close, right, and you see the space, and I block here, right? You see the space in between the two characters is very close, right? So Ryu can kind of press anything he wants here, and it's his turn, right? Because he's -2, right? So, like, if I press this, or sorry, I'm Ken's -2. I'll do that, right? -2 situation for Ken, +2 for Ryu. All right, if it's point blank like this, Ryu can kind of press anything he wants, and it'll stuff anything that Ken does, right? Versus, so if you look at the space between the two characters, right? So, right, and I press it, right? It's really close, right?
Yeah.
But if I press at the tip, so this is gonna whiff, right? It's gonna whiff again, but right here should hit, right? Like, look how much space there is now, right? So even though Ryu is +2 here, right, and he can take his turn back kind of aggressively, a lot of his options aren't going to reach, right? Crouching medium kick will probably whiff here. Stand heavy kick will probably whiff here, right? The big buttons, like stand heavy punch, will whiff here, right? So you can't really press those safely, right? It'll whiff. Similarly, for any of his lighter buttons, jab, stand light kick, right? Stand medium kick, all those buttons will probably whiff from this range, right? So that's a big reason why, if you're going to go for these kind of bigger buttons, you do want to make sure you're spaced out correctly, right? Especially for, like, the stand heavy kick. So, like, stand heavy kick here, right? If I press it point blank, is -5 for Ken, right? So this is a 5-frame punish all day for Ryu, right? Stand light kick, donkey kick, right? But if I press it back here, right? space it out better, Ryu can't really punish with a 5-framer anymore, right? And if he tries to, right? Right, if I do this, right, punish counter, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm here, right, he can't reach me anymore, right? Right, that's the OG space trap, right? Is that Ken especially gets this. When you have the spaced out stand light kick or stand heavy kick, the buttons that you'd be able to press that punishes this -5's move typically don't reach, right? And this is apparent throughout all of SF6. I think every character has something like this, right?
Yeah.
So, right, like straightforward, right? That's not even like I'm not even like reacting, right? I'm just pressing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So, but yeah, that's the important thing about spacing, right? And I think this becomes way more important too as you climb up, because people's spacing will get a lot better as you climb up in MR, right? Like you can run into Kens at like 1700 that will never whiff this button, right? They'll always land it, always at the tip, and you can't punish it, right?
I see.
The only way they can do it is like a hard read where you walk forward and block, right? You walk forward into their range, you block the stand heavy kick, or you DI them or whatever. But if you try to play neutral with them that way, and their spacing is better than yours, you're gonna eat this all day, right? Right.
Yeah.
So
Plus it does a bit of drive too, just
yeah.
to sit there and take it.
Right. So
yeah, it's almost 3/4.
Right. It's like a bar and a quarter or whatever, right? Just for one interaction, right? I mean, Ken's stand heavy kick and stand heavy punch are kind of absurd and punish counter, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, that's something that I think you'll have to get a sense of, especially with a character like Ken that again doesn't have any plus buttons, right? So a lot of what he does is basically this, right? Space traps, right? Or hitting at the tip. Well, stand and medium kick is a little bit tougher, right? It's more of a counter poke, so this is pretty much always going to lose to that -5 situation.
Yeah.
But like stuff like this, right? You don't really. This is 0. This is best button for on block like advantage, right? And it's 0. So even though I could beat a stand heavy kick with a mash or stand light kick with a mash, but if they push the 4-frame here, it's all trade, right? So, but that's why spacing becomes very important, because Ken's game is really this, right? Like
really very space dependent. Yeah.
You land the spacing, you play neutral until you get an opportunity for an opening, you get the space in the right spot, you clip them, you put them in the corner, and this is where Ken wins, right? In the corner here, right? So
yeah, no, absolutely. It's much more fun when you're Ken and they're in the corner.
Yeah,
well, it's probably fun like that for everybody, but Ken especially. So people tend to freak out when you're like, haha, it's the Ken situation.
Yeah, right. It feels so absurd because it's like you're playing neutral, and then like you get tagged by this.
You're like, well,
that's it, right? I'm in the wall. I'm in the
corner
now, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think going back to it though, I'd like to talk about what I saw from our games is really just those two things, right? One is that on Oki, in defensive situations, being a little conservative overall until you get a read on how I'm running offense, right? You picked in game 3, and I think in game 2 you picked good times for reversals, because I wasn't really respecting it, so that was perfect. But yeah, you just have to be careful about going for that right away, right?
Yeah.
And then the second thing was just getting beaten neutral because you were walking back, or there was some spacing. You were a little too close to press a button, or what's happening sometimes too is you would be too close for this with this, right? Or this, and then as you're trying to back up, that's when you get tagged, right? So that's just the space thing allows you to kind of get away. Because if I'm fully spaced for this, right, and Ryu does his crouching medium kick, oops. So right here, obviously I'm too close, right? So it's going to tag me if I block. But if I have the right spacing, right, I can space trap and whiff punish crouching medium kick, right? So
yeah, we're off to the races.
Yep. So and that's just playing neutral. You'll get there, just by playing the game. DJ can kind of get away with it a little bit because Sway offers him the ability to steal the turn in that scenario, right? So, they block something, you sway, they press, and then you just whiff punish it into, party time, right? So
yeah, love it.
So yeah, again, that's a big part of his game, right? Is doing that specifically, right? So since Ken doesn't have that option, he has to kind of play this I don't want to call it honest footsies, but he has to play that more grounded neutral that doesn't allow him to space jump like that. Like the onus is on you, the player, the pilot, to space it correctly, right? Because again, with DJ, you can get away with kind of a lot, right? I'm press from like right here, sway back. This will whiff, and then I'm getting full punish, right? So
Yeah, in fact, I probably do that a lot. Like even when I'm doing my kind of layer one, his DJ will be like, especially when people are in the corner, like okay, light kick, or even I'll even do a heavy punch if you space it out right. It goes so far,
yeah,
or you can cancel it in the early frames, and a lot of people will get tired of me, hitting them with the big plus medium, and then they'll start to try and catch my toes, but it's too late. I've already swayed.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then you get a big punish counter, and that's a full combo
right.
where you're eating machine guns for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. In the
Um,
corner two, machine gun into super, right? That's not even a question.
oh,
So
yeah, it's
big damage.
the damage too is like sometimes with Ken, even when I do get um, a hit, I don't convert as well as I would with DJ obviously.
Yeah, yeah, and the conversions that you'll get, right? I mean, to be honest, Ken's mid screen damage is really not that great overall. Like his kit is kind of built to spend drive to put you in the corner. Like even his main bread and butter combo of like the ending and run Tatsu, it only does like 2,000 damage, right? It's not that much
Yep.
relatively to like other characters. Like a Ryu mid screen combo could kill you, right?
Oh my god, it's so crazy.
Marissa mid screen combo could kill you, right? But like with
Yep.
Ken, that's not really how he's built, right? He's built like you use the drive to put him in the corner, and then corner damage is really good, right? Meterless corner damage is pretty good if you get the read on them, right? So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely.
oh yeah, just to recap, it was really just those two things that I think are what's really like at least that's how I was beating you. And that's what I was consistently just taking advantage of, right? So you just kind of have to do that. So with that all said, do you think you have time for another first to three? Want to run it back?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys send me a new invite. I wasn't
Oh yeah, for
touching the
sure.
button,
That's
so.
just how it goes, man. Yeah, no worries. Let me get you
But
back in.
absolutely. And then again, for anybody who's listening, I think some of my takeaways, and maybe you can corroborate, is just I guess mentally for me is like it's okay to chill, like as far as like getting a read on what's going on
Hmm.
before committing to the big stuff. Um, and then again being more, I guess at a higher level, being more aware of the situation a little more intricately. So less so, oh, I'm plus or not, but more being cognizant of like, okay, I just did a Jinrai. Where did I end up?
Hmm.
How far away is my opponent? What's their next possible move? Thinking more in that terms, a lot more chess matchy rather than, oh, I'm plus or oh, I'm minus, so I'm gonna, commit to something in that way, shape, or form. And then
Yeah,
again, being aware of my defensive options. So
yeah, yeah,
um,
for sure.
I think that's
I
yeah.
think you hit the nail on the head there. I think a lot of folks or a lot of players will just look at frame data and think of that as the end all be all.
Yeah.
And the way this game is built, it's not, right, because of the way the way people interact with space, right, and how plus or minus you are, kind of dictates what you can and can't do. Additionally, if you're doing these option select defensive options to kind of beat multiple things, then you're not just considering plus or minus, right? Because even in that scenario that I was showing you, where it's like jab to throw, Ken is -1, right? Like on that
Yeah.
jab, but it's still a mix
Doesn't
up for him.
feel right?
Yeah, like why is he gonna mix up in his minus? And that's just how this game is built, right? Is that like that jab pressure, right? Kind of dictates how the rest of the interaction will go, right? And if you are option selecting against what Ken can do, the Ken has to react to what you're doing and then decide if he wants to try to beat your option select or do something else, right? And that's how
Yeah,
the rotation of defensive options works, right? So
absolutely.
yeah,
And
leave the mics hot just because it's more fun on the run back this way. But
uh,
yeah, just if you see anything happening that you want to talk through, feel free. But yeah,
okay.
I really just pay attention to how much movement you're doing after buttons, and then again in Oki just kind of being a little conservative on defense until you get a read on my offense, right? So
Okay, let's try it.
yeah, hopefully it'll be a little more stable.
Oh,
Oh, footsies the game. Oh no.
oh, okay. That's a habit. That's a habit.
Nice. Oh,
Oh,
caught the backdash.
I tried reversal.
Oh, oh, nice.
Oh
Oh,
man, I hit jab. It was a little late. Whoop.
oh, tech that far. No, no.
Okay, okay, okay. Feeling good.
Nice. Oh, very nice, very nice. Oh, blame the
Flag it!
lag. Blame the lag.
I was
Uh-oh.
about to do my stick tattoo. Uh-oh.
Ah!
That was lag, that was lag. Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Nice, nice jab there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Oh,
Oh, no.
good shimmy. Oh, wait, 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 wait.
Oh,
Oh,
I still got it. Oh.
you were so far away, dude. I was like on the tip. It's
Yeah.
funny when you think about it and try to put it into practice. It's like,
It's
oh,
tough, man.
the space, the space. No, but I
But
think that
I will say that that round went a lot better for you neutral-wise. I had to actually like kind of get you to press buttons and whiff punish it as opposed to just waiting for you to walk back, right? So that was good. Oh, walking forward.
a little bit, yeah. Hey, forward is better than backwards, right?
That's true. If I wasn't ready, that would have worked. Oh, no parry, right?
Yeah, got me. Right on the head. Oh,
Oh, driver's break. So
conditions.
that one was tough. You were burned out, right? It's hard to defend
Yeah.
when I'm drive rushing like that, right? You have to kind of make a guess when you want to try to reversal. You weren't in the corner, so it's tough, but...
Oh, I was like on the tip. I think that was just a slight misjudgment, a little unlucky.
Nice. Oh.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
No,
Oh, no.
I'm fine. I'm gonna live. No, I'm dead.
I think it's going to be close, actually. May not kill you here.
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. We're fine. I'm gonna reverse already. No. I tried to hit it.
Oh, that was just a delay. That
Oh,
was a delay. But that was
that
good,
was a
though.
good
So,
delay. That was a good
so
delay.
the adjustment you made to kind of stand your ground a little bit more, huge difference, right? I'm tagging you because you're whiffing a button as opposed to moving back for the most part. So that's a really good adjustment, I think.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Not that I'm the best, but just like standing my ground a little more.
Oh, nice.
Bit of tattooed, but that's okay.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
Oh, demon.
Got it.
That's
Got it.
that's called elder abuse where I'm from, bro. That was
Hey,
nice. I was not
I'm
ready
no
for the
fried
DI.
chicken. Oh, good. Oh, I tried to delay there. I think I was just waiting too long.
Oh no!
Oh, dang it!
Oh shoot! Come
That was lag. It
on.
was 100% lag.
Come on.
Oh,
Oh, that was supposed to be a DP.
yeah. I was like, finally. The answer, yeah, there wasn't.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
dude.
Hmm. Oh, that was a nice job.
Thank you. Shoot, you're awake.
I was drinking that Celsius earlier. I got my energy back.
Well, okay, yeah, there it is.
Oh, how did that
Oh,
Kachimika
gosh.
whiff?
Oh, nice confirm.
So I know that result, may not have been what you wanted, but I will say that the adjustments that we made to your neutral game totally changed how I had to play game. Right, I could not just get away with mash and crouch and medium kick anymore. Right, and sometimes I think that, especially in this game, if you're able to get your opponent to do something else, that's a good sign. Right, that means you're able to stop whatever offensive pressure they're doing. And potentially, if that means they have to do something else to try to open you up, that means that maybe you have a better chance of defending that, or you'll be able to turn around on them, right? So, as you saw it, right, there were situations where like I had to I got hit because I'm trying to do those things, and you defended it, right? Like you defend the mix up, or like I whiff a button, right? Because your spacing was a little bit better, I think, in this one. Like you were paying a little bit closer attention to where you were standing when you press those bigger buttons. So I was not able to really get you with like walking back the same way. So those are some good adjustments. On defense, I think it's just going to take time. Incorporating that option is not easy. You did a good job on it though. Like when you did use it, I noticed it obviously, and you were able to defend properly there. So that's good. But yeah, I mean, just add that to your repertoire of things that you do on defense. Don't use it all the time. Obviously, it has a hard counter, right, with the stagger pressure.
Yeah, you
But
got to rotate anything.
you got to rotate it,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So cool, man. I hope that was helpful for you, man. You got anything else before we wrap up here?
No, I mean, absolutely. I think that gave me that was great insight.
Cool.
It gave me a lot to think. I definitely see the things that you were seeing in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like when you're sitting there watching yourself and um just getting into your mindset and as my opponent, like seeing what's going on and how you're beating me. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I have something to work on, something to think about, and yeah, I'm gonna have fun getting better for
Yeah, for
sure.
sure,
I
man.
really appreciate this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of what we were talking about here will definitely help with DJ as well, because when you can get away with space trapping without using sway, that's when DJ is really dangerous, right? Because
Yeah.
then it's like, is he gonna sway? Is he not gonna sway? I can't press either way, and if I try, I get space trapped every time, right? And then once you get passive, you start walk up throwing them, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, DJ can really punish you for being passive, right? So
Absolutely.
so yeah, man.
For the
Hopefully all this stuff will help, especially with your main. I know it's you're running DJ, so hopefully that'll help. Again, good spacing works on every character, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
cool, man.
For the DJ haters out there, there is a if you do not get caught by sway, you can't just beat them up for it.
Yeah,
That does happen.
yeah,
So don't fret. And yeah, if I was better with my spacing and neutral, I'd be definitely a monster.
yeah,
Absolutely.
100%. And I think everyone at every level can stand to get better at neutral, right? Because at master, MR, even 1300, but like as you climb up, it gets harder and harder to open people up, right? Because they tend to make mistakes that are not as easily punished, right? So like that walk back that you were doing, you have to recognize that that's happening in order to punish it, right? But it's so subtle, and if you're not paying attention to that, like you as a defender can get away with it, right? You just walk
Yeah.
back and it's totally fine, and then like you play someone higher level and you're like, okay, I'm getting tagged all day. What's happening?
Yeah.
It's hard to
Yeah.
see, right? So
And yeah, people don't even expect it. They're like, "Oh, you walk backwards. That's crazy." Because I'll get a lot of the it'll actually bait throw to the walk up throw. Um, and again, you just kind of get a lot of all this mileage off of it. But
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely handicapping me in situations where
yeah,
um
yeah.
I'm
I
playing
mean,
better people for
yeah,
sure.
because eventually these things stop working, right? And then once that
Yeah.
stops working, you have to try to figure something else out, right? So cool, man. So yeah, I'm just gonna do the outro.
Oh, sorry, you cut out for me there.
So appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Thanks again,
Yeah,
and talk to you later.
yeah. Have a good one. All right, so everyone, that was Sit Down and Shut Up. I appreciate you guys that are stuck around, all the raiders, all the chatters, and all that stuff. Thank you so much. Again, I tend not to chat too much during these as I'm focused on the person I'm working with, but for those who stick around, appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a good night. So yeah, if you like what you saw here, I run this through the Fight Rise Discord. So Fight Rise is a community for fighting game players. Um, we play mostly Street Fighter 6. They play other games too. It's mostly Street Fighter 6. They run a bi-weekly tournament through their One Fight Stand series. It happens every other Tuesday, I believe. I think there was one last weekend, or this week, sorry. Earlier Tuesday this week. And they run it every other week. So it's for master level and above. It's a 7-round Swiss tournament. And then if you're below master, they run a pool for you guys, diamond and below. It's usually a pool, a round robin pool. So you'll again get 7 rounds to play, right? So it's a good time, good way to get tournament bracket experience under your belt, if you will. They also do community showcases through their Urge to Fight series. So they do one of those like every quarter or so. It's kind of showcasing the community. They do fun events and stuff like that. The most recent one in December had Ultra David as a guest commentator. And they did it was a charity stream that raised a bunch of money for the Raiden Foundation, right? So links to those guys are in the description underneath if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitch, in my profile, there's links to Fight Rise and stuff. I'm also part of the Newbie Fight Club. 1 second, let me put the Discords and stuff. So I'm also part of the Newbie Fight Club. It's another fighting game community focused on newer players getting into fighting games, again, specifically SF6. If you want to get games with other folks of similar skill level or even master level players trying to play, they run lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Wednesday typically is the newbie day, if you will. Fridays tend to be a little more freeform. Sometimes they run double elimination tournaments or Swiss tournaments as well. So if you're interested in either of those things, go ahead and join the Newbie Fight Club Discord. Take a look at that. It's great. If you want a session like this for yourself, I do this completely free. It's for the community, my love for the community. I do this. Take a look at the Fight Rise Discord. There's a channel called Sit Down and Shut Up with Juzzy. That's me. Feel free to take a look at that. I go over everything you need to go, and you can sign up to get a session like this, right? So, again, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your time. Again, your chat, messages, your likes, your follows, your subscriptions, because Satora is a demon. So thank you guys all so much for all of that. Appreciate it, and have a good night.